it blows their minds that you can sell this stuff nationwide every single day, all day long.
Yeah.
It blows their minds like, oh man, I don't know if I could do something like that. It's easy. You put an ad out there, people buy it, you ship it. It's easy.
Right. All right, guys. Today we have with us Nathan Otwell, our Chief Marketing Officer. And part of doing the Ecom Growth Show is we want to make sure that the content we provide you guys with is actually relevant to the things that you're up against. We want it to be as helpful as possible. And one of the primary channels that we get a temperature or some feedback for where most people are at is on our own ads. And so it's pretty funny. And the other thing about that is you get a wide range of people. You get trolls and you get really serious people. But just watching the comments on ads, you can kind of figure out what's going through a lot of people's minds, and you start to see themes coming through. So Nathan kind of reached out to me about this common theme, about all these people having these huge, almost like idolizing the idea of getting to 10K a month, and believing that that's like the hardest thing. That's the hardest part of their journey as an e-commerce store owner. So this podcast, this vlog episode, whatever you want to call it, this piece of content is dispelling that myth, because that's simply not true. And so we want to share with you some of the reasons why scaling past 10K is actually a lot harder than getting there. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into it. How are you doing, Nathan?
I'm good, man. How you guys doing today?
Doing great, man. So if someone comes, what are some of the common comments you're seeing on those ads that would make us think people have that misconception?
Well, so for one thing, a lot of our marketing materials kind of state that the type of person that we're looking for in a client is doing at least $10,000 a month, or they're doing six figures annually, or they're established. That's kind of the general theme that we stick to with our marketing materials, our paid advertising. And one thing that really gets said on just about every ad is, if I'm making $10,000 a month, I don't need you anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't need to hire you. I need somebody to get me there. And I mean, it's just one of those things where, for me personally, I will say, if to anybody watching this, it is nobody else's responsibility to make you rich. I'm just going to put that out there. If you want to become a successful business owner, it is nobody else's responsibility to get you there. It's your responsibility to get yourself there. And hiring the right people is absolutely critical to building a business. Mm-hmm. And so that's really whenever I see comments like that on our ads, that's one of the first things that I try to get across, is that, we are simply almost employees for our clients. Mm-hmm. We are hired, we're vetted employees of our clients. We are the marketing department for our client. And we just make it really easy, because you don't have to train us. We already know exactly what we're going to do to make you more money on the paid traffic side of things. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's really where this whole thing comes about, for sure.
Yeah, and I love that perspective too, because it speaks to the collaboration we have with our clients. It's not like they're just handing over absolutely everything and we're managing every single pillar of their business, which that's actually a good thing to mention, because we talked about that in the last episode. We're just literally your client acquisition system, your sales and marketing team, and there's a lot of other pieces that go into making your business successful. So anyways, I would say that one of the main differences between someone who's sub 10K and someone who's on the race to getting to six figures a month, and I know you have a little bit of a different perspective, but I feel like there's a certain amount of low-hanging fruit and easy wins that you can grab as an e-commerce store owner in that area of being below 10K. And that's like you're going after family and friends, you're going after second-hand connections, even third-hand connections, and you have a little bit of like local stardom, local fame, and these really cool brands with really cool products. They find that they get up to like that 10K mark pretty quickly if they have like a really good brand and they have some momentum, but then going above and beyond there requires an entirely different skill set than what it takes you to actually get there. So it's really two very different phases, and I'd say the breaking point is kind of around that 10K mark. And so for us, our skill set, our expertise is really on the amplification side, really on the scaling side and the paid ad side that it takes to go from the 10K to the 100K to above and beyond that. Just before this call, you were kind of mentioning some other reasons why scaling to 10K is easier than above and beyond that. What were some of the things on your mind?
Well, for one thing, the attention, the focus is much easier when you're trying to get to that $10,000 a month. Because for me personally, $10,000 a month is like what I want to be at, like as a business owner. Mm-hmm. Like my personal take home. Mm-hmm. I want to take home $10,000 a month. That's typically what most business owners think. Like getting into your own business, like it'd be great if I could make 6 figures a year as my own boss, my own company, whatever the case may be. And so getting to that point is easier for me because I'm more focused on that. I'm actually putting 100% of my time towards achieving that level. And focus is a really powerful thing, especially in business, especially as a business owner. Whatever you're focused on is usually what's going to be amplified at any given time. Mm-hmm. That's why it's super important to scale the focus to other people that you trust. Mm-hmm. Because if you guys, let's take for instance Shopanova, if you and Dan were focused on the sales side of things at any given time, the marketing would go down.
Yeah.
If you were focused on the marketing, the sales would go down.
Yeah.
And that's just how it's going to work. And so like at the very beginning for e-commerce owners, they're going to events. They're trying to sell their stuff like at farmers markets or at boutique shows or at local, fairs or whatever, stuff like that. They are putting all of their time and energy into building that at any given moment, whatever they can get their hands into. Maybe they start recruiting some influencers, in their area. Maybe they go find a handful of folks that are really popular in their community and they say, hey, will you, try this out, post it on your Instagram, make a YouTube review or something like that, something that I can use to show other people. And again, 100% focus and time spent on that specific aspect. Mm-hmm. Once they get to that $10,000 range, that starts to become a whole lot harder to do. Mm-hmm. You can't focus on every single aspect of your business at any single time when you're a 6-figure company per month. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You've got finances to worry about. You've got taxes to worry about. You've got payroll to worry about. You've got hiring. You've got managers. You've got this and this and this. All the operations that are involved in that scale of a company makes it 10 times harder to focus on something like bringing on new sales every single day.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too, another thing is a lot of people just getting started. A misconception they have is like, if I'm making 10K a month, like I'm never gonna have to worry about money again. But like you said, if you want to bring home 10K a month by yourself, realistically, you probably need to be at somewhere closer to like $50,000 or $60,000 a month if you want to be able to pocket 10K. And a target profit margin, like target net profit for an e-commerce business, like I'd say even if you're doing 12 to 15% in profit at the end of the day, like that's pretty good. Like if you're doing 100 grand and there's $15,000 left over for you to put in your bank, everyone's been paid, your ad spend bill is taken care of, like that's actually pretty good. And that's a P&L that's conducive towards you continuing to build cash in your business and be financially stable. And it gives you the ability to continue growing and investing in growth. So I just think, if you're really wanting to take your e-commerce store to the next level, it requires you to start thinking at the next level as well. And 10K a month is really just the starting place. And like you said, it's the difference between someone who's doing absolutely everything, and you find out very quick that you're very limited in your ability to do everything effectively, versus learning to release some of that control, release some of that authority, that power, and even the willingness to invest in those other places so that you can continue to grow.
And on that note, bringing home money is completely different from the top line revenue, like you were saying.
Yep.
With your top line revenue, with your sales amount, we have a lot of people that hit us up that say, I'm bringing in $5,000 to $10,000 a month of revenue, but that's like break even. Like I'm not able to actually take home any of that because I've got cost of goods sold. I've got, an admin or an assistant. I've got to pay photographers, and I've got to pay models, and I've got to pay this, and I've got to pay that. And all of a sudden I don't have anything to take home. And that's really where we come in, is amplifying what they have so that they can take home money.
Yeah, and that's normal too. So like if that's you, if you're in that situation where you're doing 10K a month, even 20K a month, guys, we were doing, as a company, like there was months we were doing 200 grand and there wasn't much to go around, like after everything was said and done. So I just want to encourage people that, it's actually normal, that it just takes a little while to build the momentum, kind of get over that threshold, and before you actually start having like considerable payoff for yourself and your family, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, from a paid ad standpoint, getting to 10,000 really doesn't take a whole lot of commitment either, because you're talking about maybe throwing $100 a day at some paid traffic. And as a business owner, if you have any doubt about being able to throw $3,000 at your marketing system every month, you're probably not in a good situation to be a business owner. Because as a business owner, if you were to tell me, all you need is $3,000 and a 3x return on ad spend, and you can get $9,000, I would be like, throw the $3,000 out there, right?
Right.
A lot of people have that mindset around their paid ad system, is like $100 a day is really all I want to do. It's all I want to really throw out there, because that's kind of an easy number, right? Well, we've got clients that are doing $2,000 a day.
Right.
It gets a little bit trickier. It gets a little bit more hairy. Like you start losing $2,000 a day with no sales, that starts to hurt, man.
Yeah, you got to keep a close eye on those.
So from a paid ad standpoint, like when people say, it's easy to get to $10,000, I beg to differ. Like you manage a $2,000 a day ad spend and see how hairy it starts to get a little bit.
See how easy it is. It's funny, the attitude is always like, why? Yeah. It's like, I already have the golden ticket. Like, why would I need any more help if I can do that? And it's like, well, there's a lot more to it. Like, that's just the starting point. But I think it's helpful to kind of unpack it a little bit. And for me, I always like looking at it in terms of like what's required of you, mentally. So what are you willing to invest to get to that level? And it really, like 10K, 15K, it really is kind of the breaking point of someone who's just kind of piddling around, versus someone who's looking to grow an actual like e-commerce brand.
Absolutely. We see, like I said, we have clients that are spending $2,000 a day on ads. We have clients that are putting out, multiple influencer campaigns, paying, anywhere from 5 to 10K for those influencer campaigns to grow that brand, to grow their content, to grow their sphere of influence, whatever the case may be, to gain market share. Like there's a lot of brands out there that's on their head. It's not like what I'm taking home a month. It's how much market share do I have relative to my competitor? And what we do is super, super important for that, because if we can stay in front of people every single day, targeted people that we know are shopping for that specific product, if we can be the product that gets added to the cart before the next person, then it's huge. That's a huge win for most e-commerce brands, for most retail brands. And so like you said, there's kind of a mindset switch there from, I want to make money to I need market share. Like that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, and even like when you're looking at spending $100 a day or $200 a day, I would encourage people that like if you aren't seeing sales, like that's actually not a bad thing, because you're actually purchasing something. You're purchasing website visitors, you're purchasing add to carts, and now those are people that you can go after and monetize as well. And so it is very much a data purchasing game. And so it doesn't always have to make sense, like, what you spend in one day doesn't always need to come back in the exact same day. And especially in the ramp up period, there is a data purchasing process, but at the end of it, you have something that you've invested in, whether you want to call it market share or data or whatever, but those are all things that you now own and you can advertise to in a much more effective way. And that's what's going to be able to start your growth curve.
And I think that's also a great point on the, what's easy and what's hard as far as a revenue threshold is concerned. Is there's only so much that a sphere of influence can do for you. There's only so much that an influencer campaign can do for you. At some point, there's going to be diminishing returns on that type of strategy. Going to events, selling your stuff at farmers markets, selling your stuff at fairs, local boutique shows or expos, whatever the case may be. There are diminishing returns in that type of strategy. It's something that you not only have to keep doing all the time, but it's something that at some point is going to run out. There's especially if you're in a centralized area that's kind of cut off from the rest of the state or whatever the case may be. You go after the same 200,000 people all the time for 6 months to a year, people are going to know who you are. You know what I mean? Like, there's really nowhere else to go with that type of strategy. So whenever we do the paid ads thing, what blows a lot of people's minds, especially like if I go talk to a local store owner or a local, woodworker or metal art, whatever person selling their stuff, locally at farmers markets, beard oil. We've got a guy that I've talked to in the area that does his own beard oil, and he goes and sells it at the farmers market and stuff like that. It blows their minds that you can sell this stuff nationwide every single day, all day long.
Yeah.
It blows their minds like, oh man, I don't know if I could do something like that. It's easy. You put an ad out there, people buy it, you ship it. It's easy.
Right.
And it blows their minds that like they can actually do that they can work outside of that sphere of influence.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, when we talk about getting to $10,000 with a sphere of influence, with a local presence or popularity, that's going to run out at some point. So, learning the paid ads strategies, hiring somebody to do it for you, like us, whatever the case may be, is going to bring you consistent growth and not just that diminishing return growth.
Yep, 100%. And I feel like that really wraps it up quite well. That's the main difference, is at some point you're going to hit a plateau, and if you want to keep growing, you have to change the strategy, get into paid ads and overall amplification. Well, thanks so much, Nathan, for hopping on. Guys, like I said at the beginning of this, we love to provide content that's helpful and relevant to you. If you guys have a specific question that you would like us to dive into, just hit us up over email, hit us up on social media, whatever you want. And we'll go in, we'll dive into it, and we'll tackle it. We'll bring on the right expert to kind of walk you through whatever it is you're up against in your business. We're here to help e-commerce businesses grow. So till next time, we'll catch you guys later.